What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Run Your Mouth podcast. Feels like it's been forever since I've been able to brief you guys from home, and I wasn't even planning on briefing this week. I really wasn't. I've been working hard on the smoke out bug out, which, by the way, people of Colorado, you're crazy if you don't come out for this show. I mean, this Saturday night, firstly, it's the end of the tour, so now my comedy's actually pretty polished. I mean, there were a lot of audiences that sat there and they're like, I don't know where he's going with this, and that's my crowd. It's one thing when you get up in New York City and they don't like you. It's another thing when people showed up and they're like, hey, you should have worked on this before you got here. But you're like, hey, this is what I got. It's Porch Tour. That's the way this works now. I can't tell these Corona jokes anywhere else, so I'm going to have to experiment on somebody, and I'm sorry that it was you tonight. But anyways, now it's all polished. So you get a full 45 minutes of me doing stand-up, fucking polished, somewhat, not totally, but it's almost there. I mean, it's going to be there enough because I'm going to be filming it, and then that's the end of that. Then you also get a full concert from the Shedcast Boys, and then you get the Smoke Out Bug Out, which people like. And it's only like $20. So you're fucking crazy if you don't show up for this thing. Not to mention you can bring your own food. You can bring your own cooler with beers. You can bring whatever fucking drugs you want to do. You want to go pass out in the forest, you can do that. You can pee in the woods. What other comedy show do you get to go to where you just get to fucking take a piss in the woods? That's a good time too. We could even maybe do a piss streaming competition. See who drinks the most water and has the clearest piss onto a tree. You know, I know that those forests out in Colorado get kind of dry. So we can make Smokey the Bear proud while celebrating porches, doing a smoke out, bug out, and a live Run Your Mouth podcast. That's a pretty good time. All in all, last date of Summer Porch Tour. Sure the hell up, or get in your fucking car and drive. Come fucking hang out. Also, if you got Sheaths, wear it. Robert from Sheath is going to be there. So I would love it if, everyone should just, Robert will be okay with it. You can show him your bulge. Like in normal circumstances, don't get too used to that. Don't be showing up on a date and be like, hey, I'm sorry. I know it was inappropriate. I shouldn't have just taken off my pants and showed you my bulge. I was on this thing. It was called Porch Tour, and it was encouraged to be showing off your bulge. So, like, I forgot that that's not normal etiquette. That's what happens to these Weinsteins and people is that they got these women and they're just coming along and they're going, I'd really like to suck your dick to be in this movie. And then all of a sudden you think it's normal. And then you pull it out and you've already put a shot into it. So it's all erect. And you're like, wait, you don't want a part in the movie? And they're like, well, I wanted the part, but I didn't want to have to do this. And you almost forgot in your head. You're like, well, that's not the way it works. And then you got to jerk off to a plant. So you don't want that to happen to you. But for the sake of Summer Porch Tour, put on your sheaths, show up, drop it down and go, yo, Robert, check out my sheath bulge. And if you don't have any sheaths, there's probably still some time to get some before the show. You go to sheathunderwear.com, you use promo code RYM, and you get yourself 20% off on a pair of sheath underwear. That's a pretty good deal. All right. For those listening to the episode, this is going to be a double episode because I did a live episode from Jeff Douglas's house, along with Mike Heiss and BK Chris. Total update on everything me caught going on for longtime followers of the show. We've been doing that every single summer. So that's going to be in the second half of the episode. For those of you watching me live, I'll get that up as soon as I can edit it. So audio, going to be one thing. Video, two separate things. All right, it's too many instructions. Let's get into some news topics here, because things are going on. I didn't even want to brief. I wanted to be off. I wanted to just get myself ready for the live, Denver one. I'm over here. I'm taking care of logistics. I'm trying to get new film equipment, trying to work with the camera guys, camera operators. I'm trying to get a crane guy who's going to be up in a tree. There's big things going on for Summer Porch Tour. All right. So anyways, let's get into some news topics. So let's start with what's my first topic of the day. Fauci plans to step down in December after a half a century in government. He figured, you know what? It's enough time. Now let's go check, let's go print these Pfizer checks. When you're there, you can't get all your royalties, but then you can leave and, you can get your book deals, you can get your consulting jobs. Hell, you can go work directly for Bill Gates because sometimes when you're the government, you got to like secretly take his calls and then have the emails leaked and then pretend like you didn't write that, even though it was in your email. So who knows what he's going to do next? Because you can bet he said he's not retiring. And with his skill set of lying to the general public, I mean, think of the profits that are still on the table for Fauci. Fauci's not just going to retire. I mean, this might be the greatest liar and salesperson on behalf of Big Pharma in human history. You think that guy's just going to step into the sunlight and call it a sunset and call it a fucking day? Hell no. This guy's got a lifetime of lying skills. Not to mention just the access to government, when you because then you can just call up like the FDA and be like, hey, what's the deal with getting this thing approved? And then they'll actually respond to your call. So even just the access alone makes you a valuable player. And then of course he's going to have all of his money coming in from the government pension funds. And then I guess there'll probably be less of an incentive to actually investigate this guy, which that's what they fucking need to do. We need whatever they did with the Mueller thing, whatever the fuck they did with January 6th. We need a full investigation, and it's not just into the outbreak. You know what I mean? Like that. We don't just need an investigation into whether or not he lied about the Wuhan lab stuff, which we know he did. We know he went over there and he bought himself a virus and then maybe it leaked or whatever. So that's one part that he lied about. And we know from every single video that we've seen of him sparring with Rand Paul that throughout this entire time he's been going ahead and he's been lying. We know that he made a mistake when it came to the lockdowns. We know that this guy has made mistakes, but that is less interesting than were they manipulating the data. I mean, we need a full-scale investigation. Was he shilling for Big Pharma? Did he have direct communications with Pfizer that we don't know about? Does he have an interest from Moderna that he's being paid out on this stuff? When he leaves, I mean, is the general public going to be fucking furious if there's the revolving door of politics and he literally just leaves to go work for Bill Gates, Pfizer, or one of these other companies? I hope people are outraged about that. But I do think that there should be the most intensive investigation that's ever been conducted in human history. Forget January 6th, forget what happened with Mueller. And by the way, if he turns out to be innocent, God bless. I'll say it right here. I'll go, man, I was wrong the entire time. And I guess the conversation that we now need to have is not about evil, manipulative liars in government, but how we can do a better job of not making incompetent decisions, which would be a different conversation. And so the investigation would be worthwhile just so that we can know whether or not to have a conversation about government incompetence or government being ridiculously evil. But let's find out. What conversations was he really having? What was his understanding of how these vaccines worked? Why were they manipulating data in terms of like breakthrough infections and the utility of all of this stuff? Let's get into the weeds. All right. But then I love this. This was from the Washington Post. Here's the direct quote of Fauci stepping down. I love everything about this place. But even with that, I said I'm going to have to leave some time. Fauci said. I don't want to be here so long that I get to the point where I lose a step. I mean, how great is this guy that he's going out like an undefeated pro athlete where he's like, I've just had such a good career. I better call it a quits while I'm still ahead. It's the most incredible thing in the world where it's like he's had 2 years of complete and total failure. None of his ideas worked. He preached this lockdown thing that didn't work. He got everyone to take vaccines that didn't work. He, wasn't doing fucking mandates that didn't work. It was nothing but didn't work. And he still just talks like he just won the Oscar. Like, I'd like to thank my mother for making me really smart. That was good because now I'm really smart. And I'd like to thank the pharmaceutical companies for all the money they gave me to push the vaccine. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening to me for all the time that they did. That was good because I got to be on the news a bunch. And I look forward to my team, the NIAD. They were very supportive. They paid me $900,000 a year. That was a good salary. So they were very supportive. All right. The other thing that I'm loving is they keep talking in their investigations. The investigation isn't about, hey, why does government have this so much authority? And when I say investigations, I more just mean the conversations. The conversation to be had is about why does government have this much authority? Why do they engage in text censorship? Who has the better track record of being right? People like Alex Berenson or the CDC? Why was the CDC not making this information available, saying that, hey, let's not listen to these people who are doing the Great Barrington Declaration. They're going to kill everybody. And then finding out at a later point in time that the people who made the Great Barrington Declaration were actually right. And then saying, hey, we actually just need more funding. And no, we're not going to release all the data sets. Like, in other words, the problem that we have here is with government power and authority. But now, instead of looking into that, you know what the conversation keeps being? That they've eroded public trust. Now, it's what's odd about that is that the public trust in government is not really an us issue, right? The public trust in government is the people working in government going, hey, I'm a little concerned about my job right now because you're making it very clear that we're all incompetent. I mean, for our entire careers, we've been really incompetent, but we've done a much better job of like hiding our track records of being incompetent and profiting off our decisions. So when you just go out there and you fuck up this royally, you're like, in other words, public trust is not the problem here. But if anything, public trust is the benefit that people are going to start seeing through the racket, and then maybe we'll actually defund some of these organizations and restore some freedom, and then people can start making their own decisions. Which, after 2 years of basically mandates or whatever, that's now the new policy. Hey, we'll let you make your own decisions. You know, you could have done that 2 fucking years ago. But I love that like their new thing now is that like the biggest problem is that you're erode. No, that's not the problem. Isn't the public trust? The problem is the power that you guys have. Like, in other words, like you just want to restore public trust that you can continue to make these mistakes, like, or so that you can continue to remain in power. That doesn't really like, in other words, like as far as they're concerned, government could have made more errors, but if the American public was so stupid that we weren't concerned with the errors, we can continue to make errors. The errors isn't the concern. The public trust to them is the concern. You see the distinction? All right, let's take a couple comments and then we could move into the next topics. All right, man, people are fucking hanging out for live show. So Fauci considers himself so vital to the pandemic. Would he not stay in his position as to not deal with the next one? You would think so. Dingus Khan, Fauci is preparing for the next chapter in life. I think he's ready for films. RAP Science. There you go. Dr. Metal Blood is coming through. $60 kilos. Fuck yeah. There you go. There you go. Dr. Metal Blood gets it. And if you don't know what he's talking about, it's none other than, my bad, YoKratom.com, home of the $60 kilo, the only place where you're going to find full kilos of Kratom for $60. And this is high quality stuff. You're not going to find better quality Kratom nowhere, and you're certainly not going to find it for kilos. And with everything that's going on in the world, you might as well build yourself a fort of kilos so that if you haven't stocked up on food, you got something to trade when the world goes to shit. All right, what other topics do we got? Because I got some other ones here. It's going to be a shorter episode, but we got some stuff going on. All right. This is from Yahoo News. Let's give it a read. Fauci also took issue with the conservative opinion writer grousing, I don't know what that word is, that is massive $400,000. By the way, this is the wrong angle for this because then everyone's just looking right at my nose. You know, I need like, I got to get this stuff straight, you know. All right, anyways, let's continue. Fauci also took issue with the conservative opinion writer grousing that his massive $400,000 yearly pension should also offend the sensibilities of Americans, wondering where the author got that figure. I mean, would you please call him up and tell me where they got that number, Fauci asked Cavuto, adding that he'd be very surprised if his annual pension was that high. That's how rich Fauci is. He doesn't even know what his pension is. He's not even concerned. Whatever the pension is, what does it matter? He's like, you know the paycheck I got coming from Bill Gates? You think I care about whether or not I got a $400,000 pension? And by the way, that's such bullshit. I don't even know what my pension is. Is that what it is? Oh, yeah, I'm a god when it comes to science stuff, but what I'm making, I wouldn't even know. I'll have to, yeah, bullshit. All right, and then let's give this a watch. Ah, fuck, it's formatting my video, you motherfucker, you. All right, well, basically he was on Cavuto and they asked him about, stuff, if he regrets any of it, and they gave him the out. They're like, do you think that we should have been as aggressive with the lockdowns? They didn't say, did you regret the lockdowns? They even gave him that kicker of, could we have been less aggressive in it? And then, of course, I wouldn't recommend, I'm doing him as Rocky at this point. I wouldn't recommend a lockdown. I wouldn't do that. That's not me. I would never. And then someone put together the video of every single time he was going, we need a lockdown. We need a lockdown quicker. Everyone's got to lock down. Everyone's got to stay down. If you're locked down within your house, you better put your handcuffs down. You better have someone tie you down. Everyone's got to be down. All right, next topic. This was from Politico. Headline: Trump White House exerted pressure on FDA for COVID-19 emergency use authorization. House report finds. So I'm reading this article, and it's one of two takeaways. The first takeaway is Politico is going, all right, well, what Trump did was reckless because getting this vaccine out after the election, that was enough time for them to do it safely. But him pushing for it to be done prior to the election was flagrantly irresponsible because that very minuscule difference of, I guess, 30 days was all the difference in them being able to safely do a rush job on putting something out. So in other words, after Trump left office, everybody's in the clear. This was not a rush job. This was not a trial run. This wasn't an untested product. This was the best idea anybody's ever had. But prior to those 30 days, the fact that anyone would think of putting this on the market is just showcasing the fact that this guy was playing politics and being reckless with everybody's lives. 30 days later, completely safe, trust the science, don't ask any questions. Everybody's got to take this. You don't have this, you can't show up to work. 30 days earlier, oh my God, this thing's reckless. You can't put this into people. I'm going to put this out there. Since Alex Jones clearly makes so much money with conspiracies, I'll throw you guys with the conspiracy. I feel like the wheel might be turning here. And maybe I'm just being hopeful. Maybe I'm being naive and hopeful that some sort of really good bombshell is coming and they're stopping to be able to control the information. And we're going to see something that's so clear as day that people are going to be pissed about these fucking vaccines. And so now they're trying to get ahead of the story and go, hey, it wasn't us, the Democrats, who really pushed the lockdowns, who really pushed the COVID fear-mongering. Now, Trump folded, but I think Trump's intuition at the beginning of this thing was, hey, let's live our lives. And then people were yelling so much bloody murder of, hey, everyone's going to die, that, even the people that were better about this, even they kind of seem to have been forced to go along. I don't know. We all kind of lost our fucking minds. And for a little bit, it was fun. And then it just became too much. But anyways, back to what I was trying to say. This is my first broadcast back here in a while. Let's not be too ADD. Let's stay on fucking topic. I don't even remember what I was talking about. All right. Trump White House exerted pressure. So now they're trying to, all right. I'm wondering if we're actually going to get some juicy bombshell stories. And so people like Fauci are getting ahead of this thing. They're stepping down now. And if they're going to start trying to pin this thing back on Trump to go, well, he's really the one that authorized it. I actually thought for a while that maybe the vaccine was going to be the thing to undo Trump, because we've seen him in rallies when he tried taking credit for it. And the crowds didn't seem to be too into it. I do think that was not necessarily one of the victories. It's not like that wall that he got built for everybody. All right, what else we got? I got a couple more news stories coming at you. Here we go. The Biden administration student loan debt plan. So they get a nice tweet out there. Everyone's curious to know, am I going to have to pay off my student loans? Am I going to be helped out? What's going on here? So here we go. Forgiving debt. $20,000 if you went to college on Pell Grants, $10,000 if you didn't receive Pell Grants. Forgiveness only applies to those earning less than $125,000 a year. Student loan pause extended one final time through December 31st, 2022. Now, here's what's incredible to me. When they're bribing you, look how easy they make this information to understand. Like when it comes to your taxes and what you owe them, that shit becomes fucking confusing. Or more often than not, even when they're making rules, like I go to the airport, they tell me that they got these signs where I'm going to need a real ID. And then I show up with all the paperwork and the lady tells me I'm not going to need it for 3 years. And then she talks me out of getting it done then. And then I lost all the paperwork. And in about 6 months, when they actually go to the real ID, I'm not going to be able to fly anymore. But that's like I said, we're not doing the ADD thing. We're trying to stay focused. We're trying to stay in the lane. We're trying to be more professional here. We're broadcasting from home. After all, this isn't the away game where you got tech problems, you got buzzing microphones. I should be able to stay focused like fucking lightning. Lightning is not even that direct. That wasn't a great example. Anyways, what I was trying to say, isn't this incredible how well government sometimes can just give you guys simple information? And I don't know about you guys, but I'm furious about this because, I don't have student debt. This doesn't help me. Plain and simple, not only does it not help me, but now all of a sudden, all these kids that went to summer camp got themselves degrees and stupid horse shit, on media studies and gender reveal studies and sociology and like whatever the fuck these other kids studied and partied and got laid and was doing all these drugs. I was showing up every day miserable, hated the thing, went to a community college, wasn't fun. And now all of a sudden I got to compete with these exact same people for pussy in housing. I don't want to compete. Like, you guys had your moment. You enjoyed yourselves. You did it. And now I actually can save up, I can own these nice studios. I'm finally competitive in the pussy market. And all of a sudden, these people just get to step right back in. They don't have to be depressed about the fact that they have loans that they can't pay off, that they got and then how's this going to help inflation? How's this going to help inflation when all of a sudden people so in other words, great, you're going to steal more of my wealth to cover these other people fun that enjoyed themselves in the past. It's a blatant bribe. And I hope everyone's outraged about this. How you just get to decide. And then what about all the people that aren't making money now because they didn't go to college? How's that fair to those kids who looked at it and said, I don't really want to be in debt, and now they're not making as much as these people. And some of these people, their income might go up in a couple years from now. And then also, heads should fucking roll. For every single person that sold a kid on taking a degree in something that they would never make money in, that was fraud. And guess what? The government that made the money available to that kid for him to go study some fucking nonsense that he was never going to see a return on investment in, they were in on the fraud too. So for every single government official that said like that, I don't know, we're talking about making college more affordable, the affordability of college, making sure that kids could go to college, and every single college that, I mean, every single one of them basically raised their prices, outpacing inflation. You want to know why college costs are up so much? It's because the funds that government made available, right? And by the way, colleges might even just raise their costs even more now. There might now be a perception that like governments, because you think this is the end of government getting rid of debt. Like, when do they ever start giving people free shit and then turn off the faucet on that? Wait, is this really going to be a one-time payment of $10,000? Is it going to be like the Ukraine war where we're like, oh, it's emergency, we'll get them $1 billion, and then 2 weeks later you're sending another $2 billion, and then you fucking lose count over the entire thing. What else did I got? Yeah, I think I had it all on that. All right, let's watch this video. Biden. Um, no, why don't you go fix that too? I think you're the president. I mean, you're the president. I agree with you. The fact, so in other words, you're admitting that we have a system that unfairly favors the elites. So why don't we go fix that? I don't think giving a handout to these people for $10,000 fixes the not fair. So in other words, you're saying that when government favors certain individuals and gives them benefits, it's not fair. That's what you're saying. So why don't we go fix the non-fairness of that? Isn't that what an incredible answer? And by the way, that means that they actually sat down and thought like, well, how are we going to turn this back around? And he goes, well, is it fair that that we're doing all this for the no, don't do that for the wealthy people. Of course we don't. So you're admitting that you're doing this for the wealthy people? Is that what the Democrats are saying? Hey, the Democrats have policies that favor the elite and the wealthy. And instead of correcting that, they're going to bribe you and also somehow combat inflation while giving you money to combat the unfairness of the fact that the wealthy see tax breaks that you can't. All right, great work, Biden. And then this is what I was talking about. Newest headline from Reuters: U.S. to announce $3 billion in new military aid for Ukraine. Yeah, it just becomes like impossible to even like keep track on. Like, how am I even supposed to keep track on how much money we're fucking sending to Ukraine? So, all right, we got the $10,000 now, and then soon enough, no debt. So, everyone go to college and just take on more debt. Go party for a little while. You don't even need to finish the degree. And you're not going to be able to, why save your money? You're not going to be able to afford a house anyways, because they're just going to do whatever they can to reinflate that bubble so that baby boomers don't lose their money on their houses, and the people that haven't saved any money are able to go afford them. All right, I think I got one or two more topics left. Two alleged militia members found guilty of plot to attack Michigan governor. So this one's scary because other than everything that's happened with COVID and the way that, a year ago, I was a second-class citizen. I wasn't allowed into a business in New York City. And we know how many people got threatened that they would lose their jobs if they weren't vaccinated. And then we know people that left their jobs because they weren't vaccinated. So yeah, people that like literally had to leave their jobs, or people that were forced to do something that they weren't comfortable with in order to remain at work. And so we've seen a massive ramping up of government being like, yeah, we haven't done our homework. And we might be in a place where we have to restructure in a year. Like, think about with how adamant they were, like how right they should be a year later to excuse like you know what I mean? It's like one thing if you almost forcibly check somebody into rehab and then a year later they feel much better and they show up and they go, oh, thank you. You know what? You actually helped me out here. With how forcible government was, you would think that like Corona would be gone and then the mRNA would have turned out to like also cure cancer. Like we would just be in a different place as humanity where everyone's turning around and going, wow, you guys, you know what? You were right. Like, I'm sorry that I questioned everything that you were doing. It was good. Like, that was the level of confidence that they had that what they were doing was the right approach. That was the first scary thing. The next scary thing that we've seen is that the FBI seems to be pushing for a domestic terrorism title. And they want to basically, people like me should be, as far as they're concerned, people like me should be in jail. We can't have people who are on the internet spewing misinformation. It creates dangerous environments. It either encourages people to do violence or it encourages people to make unsafe, decisions about their own healthcare because they're getting bad information from people like me. And so they're trying to do everything they can to create their own news about the threat of domestic terrorism. It's the same thing that happened in Charlottesville. Well, I mean, how many Nazis showed up there? If anything, was a proof of the fact that there aren't that many Nazis in the country, but instead it was, look at this increasing tide of white nationalists and the threat. Well, all right. So I guess what happens to the increasing tides? We're all these supposed white nationalist Nazis that were going to be taking over the country. I mean, that was your prediction. That's what you guys said was going to happen. So this one's creepy for a lot of reasons. So you've got two people who are now at least convicted. I guess they might be able to do a retrial. I'm not a lawyer. I don't actually know the way these things work. But you got two people convicted for the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. And now you can go down the Run Your Mouth archive where I first discussed it, and it sounded like it was going to be entrapment. Then we had 4 people that got off for entrapment. Off the bat, we need cameras in federal court. I mean, this is ridiculous that the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff and this stuff, are the cases that we can't see. These are like the most important cases where, and by the way, there was just an article about today that a police guy said that he faked the stuff for the warrant on that no-knock raid that got, was it Breonna Taylor? One of those people killed. It's like, we've got a lot of proof of the fact that government will lie to us, that they'll overstep on their power and authority. Like the only reason that the guy who killed George Floyd went to jail is because we actually had a camera footage of it. We all also got to watch like the Alex Jones case and then the case with the Pirates, Johnny Depp. And we all could and also the one with Kyle Rittenhouse. And it was kind of a thrill for all of us because we got to see the way that the court system works. We got to see the way that justice was handed out. And you know what? I guess if a jury of 12 people or 9 people, whatever the fuck it is, can make a decision, then all of us watching the footage online, I guess the public perception of the mass market, there's some value there of if everyone's going, hey, I think that judge was being corrupt. And I bet that does police a judge. I bet if there's a camera in court, it probably polices the judge a little bit to make sure that they aren't acting in a corrupt way. So off the bat, I don't know what legislation or policy needs to change. The channel will get good ratings. Let's get some cameras in federal court. I don't understand why we have it for these other court cases, but we don't have it with the federal cases, which seem to be a lot bigger and more important. Now, here's the other part that I don't get is how did the last group of people get off? And I believe it was on the basis of entrapment, but then these people don't. Firstly, I don't understand why why they were being prosecuted in separate trials. I guess maybe these people were considered to be more the leaders of the group. But then if the other people were entrapped and let off for entrapment, which I might not even have that right, but I believe that's why they were let off, then how is it that these people... What was it like? In essentially, these people started it, and then the FBI got involved, and then the FBI entrapped more people to join the movement that these two people started. It seems unlikely. There seems very strange to me that 4 people got off, and now these 2 people are getting in trouble. All right, so let's read this for. This is from Reuters. This is explaining why these people got in trouble. In planning for the kidnapping, Fox compiled a list of the tools the conspirators would need, including handcuffs and a hood to cover Whitmer's head. The Detroit News reported the prosecution is saying during the trial, a makeshift house was built to simulate breaking into the governor's vacation home in Northern Michigan and abducting her, they alleged. All right, so they were role playing the thing that the FBI thought it would be a good idea to say. I'm not totally spooked or convinced that these people are terrorists yet. In their closing arguments, attorneys for Croft and Fox told jurors that the government case was entrapment. They said the clients committed no crimes, and they criticized the use of FBI informants in the case, the Detroit News reported. The FBI should not exist to make people look like terrorists when they aren't, Joshua Blankard, an attorney from Croft, told jurors. The 2 are among 13 who were arrested in October 2020 and charged with the state and federal crimes alleging kidnapping conspiracy. 7 of them are facing charges in state court. Oh, so I guess there's still more trials to come. And then this is from the Detroit Free Press. This was from the lawyers who were defending them. The defense raised numerous issues during the trial, creating some tense moments in the courtroom. Defense attorneys accused the judge of favoring the prosecution by repeatedly cutting them off during questioning, calling their arguments crap, and setting time limits only on the defense attorneys, telling them that they could only take as much time to question witnesses as the prosecution. The defense also took issue with the judge's handling of a juror who came under investigation for alleged misconduct on the second day of the trial. That juror allegedly told coworkers that his or her mind was made up on the case from the get-go. So this is just the lawyers. I don't know if they're lying or not. Let's get some TV cameras in there. All right, last topic of today is Apple TV Plus is putting out a show about Hillary Clinton called Gutsy. As to why they're putting out a show about, her body, I that seems not nice. I thought we're not supposed to comment on women's bodies. Now you're going to do a show just talking about the way she looks. That doesn't seem right to me. But I don't understand liberal politics. I don't understand the way these people work. So, it seems like this is essentially the newest effort for them to try and make her look like a human being. They get these propagandas. What the fuck is going on? Is Apple Plus some like super liberal leaning service type thing? Or do they somehow still owe Hillary Clinton some payment money for something that she did in the past? But yeah, they're giving her like the Fauci Bono treatment. They're going to put her out on the road with all sorts of celebrities who are going to sit there and go, I can't believe I get to sit down with Hillary Clinton. And I'm excited to see how this rebrand works. I mean, we've seen Hillary Clinton be unlikable in countless different platforms with numerous chances, but maybe they finally found the right propagandist that this one's going to look great, which is why Porch Tour might be over. But I think I might try and do a hate watch party. Maybe I'll get BK Chris on it. We'll do a hate watch party. We'll do it live. We'll watch Gutsy. We'll comment. If you got a house and you want to have us over, you got an Apple Plus subscription, you're in the tri-state area, and you'll put together snacks and bring me and BK Chris snacks and drinks tonight. Maybe we'll do it from you. Maybe we'll do it here. I don't know. That's my episode. Let's check in. We probably got a couple comments here. Once again, thank you, Sheath Underwear, for sponsoring the Run Your Mouth podcast. Use promo code RYM. You're going to get yourself 20% off, and bring him to Porch Tour, Denver. Show off your sheaths to Robert. Every dude, which is most of the audience, bring your sheaths. Show off your sheaths. Show off your sheaths evening. Common sense. They can appeal. These are 2 of the 4 that were in the hung jury. 2 were exonerated. These 2 just found guilty. Okay, the road to Providence. Jose Gallison could hook you up with one of the guys who got off. He had him on his show. Oh, I would love that. I should hit up Jose. I'd be very interested in that conversation. The road to Providence, the judge didn't allow them to enter the text messages from FBI agents. Same people, 2 were left off to entrapment. These 2 did not. Doesn't make a ton of sense. You think she eats babies? Probably not on the show. I mean, maybe in her real life, but I'm going to assume on the show she does not. That is our episode. Yo Kratom, home the $60 kilo. Come out. Summer Porch Tour. It's going to be this weekend. Is the last show of Summer Porch Tour. It's in Denver by Forest Mommy's house. Go follow her new Twitter account because they keep coming after her. And occasionally you get like sexy photos. That's a good time. Go follow her. And I think that's all that we have to say. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good episode. Or this was, I don't know. Bye.